you want to become more serious in your work with large language models, oh, well, then you've come to the right place. I want to show you now how you can use AI governance tools to build not only safer, but also better applications, and how this is even more fun for you as a developer. We will be using watsonx.governance for that, which is the IBM solution to AI governance that integrates brilliantly with the whole watsonx ecosystem. And that way, you'll be able to build amazing, secure, and scalable applications using a huge range of different models, both open source and IBM proprietary. So without much more talking, I'm excited to show you what it's all about and jump straight into the UI. So this is the watsonx UI, and the easiest way for you to get there is to just type in watsonx AI into your browser. This will forward you to this page. You can start your free trial. I obviously already have a registered account, so this is where I'm gonna start. As you can see, I've already created a project for us. Just called it watsonx.governance. And it's got one prompt in there. What we can see here is what we call the prompt lab. Just think of your IDE for prompt engineering. And the prompt that you see in there is what we will use to guide us through the whole life cycle that we're gonna look at. And it's actually a pretty relatable thing. The idea is that if you have a car accident, file an insurance claim. So you describe what happened, and you describe it in the way that, well, you as a layperson describes it. So it's a pretty long story. It's pretty hard to read. So we need a summary of that. So it's easier to process this claim, and it's going to be easier for our systems to work with that. So what we want to achieve is a really crisp and small summary of a rather large story. What we see here is some work that I've already done. So I've already created a decent prompt for this task. Might look a little confusing at first if you're not familiar with the prompt lab, but it's actually really simple. So what we see here, you might want to call it a system prompt. It's just pretty much telling the model what kind of persona it is supposed to take. Assistant for a car insurance company. Down here, we have a few examples. So I'm not going to go into detail. You can pause the video and read it if you want. But it's a rather long story, and it's got a really crisp and small summary. Here's the same thing, and here one more. So where did I get those examples from? Well, that can be a little tricky. In the best case scenario, you actually have real-world user data that you can use. Or if you don't have that, you have two other options. You might use your own brain, or you might use one of those new fancy artificial brains. That's pretty much what I did. I just used Llama 2 70B to come up with some of those stories, and then also with a summary together with it. But it was kind of manual tinkering, so that's definitely not a scalable thing. And I also changed some details about those stories and the summaries, but I ended up with it's like 13, 14, 15 of those little stories and the summaries. I will also provide this data set. So we've taken 3 of those stories and summaries as our examples here. And down here, for just testing and working on the prompt, I also included 2 other ones. And what you see here is generated by the model. I can click generate and it's going to do it again. So this looks really nice. And look at that. That is a really small model. We can actually get away with a really, really small model doing this, which is pretty amazing. Now we have a decently working prompt. And the next thing I would usually do is simply go here, take that code and take that whole prompt and copy and paste it into my Python script. So this is where my prompt would live from now on. It's just here in the code, and I mean, it's simple. I can now use it in LangChain or in the IBM Gen AI library, and I can just do my Python data sciencey stuff. And I have it committed into Git, and well, that's decent. Well, but if you want to build important stuff, applications that your business might depend on, and that might even be regulated, this is just not going to cut it. This is fine for one person doing a prototype, but anything that's supposed to live on for some time, you should do something a lot more sophisticated, and that's what we're going to do now. So what we will do now is we take our prompt that we already have and save it as a prompt template. Very simple. We also have to say what it is, what the task is that it's doing. This is important for the way it will be evaluated and further downstream. So what already happened now is that the examples have been thrown out, And now we need to add a variable. We just call it input. And now we have to click here and insert that variable here. Okay, great. Now we hit save. So now we can start the evaluation. For that, we just simply go back to our assets view. And here, insurance claim eval. Those 3 dots, evaluate. Okay, I already did an evaluation, but now let's do one more for demo purposes. We choose a data set, and we just take the Excel file, the CSV file that I already showed you. But I obviously deleted the samples that we used as examples to keep it all clean. We choose that. Just have to choose the right columns here, update and evaluate, and this will take a moment now. Our test came back clean. So we've got a lot of different metrics here. I'm not going to go into detail here, but a lot of them are kind of similarity metrics. So always take them with a grain of salt. But what we have here is a baseline. You can use this for all your future prompt engineering work. And whenever you change something, you can run the same test again. And you can always see if you get better or worse. This is what you need to give you the peace of mind that you can actually change your prompt in a real world application. This is what you need to do prompt engineering on a production system with confidence. Just trying a prompt and seeing if it works better or worse, that's just simply not enough if you're working with real systems. Together with those test results, you also get an AI fact sheet that was generated automatically. And this gives you all the information you need about this prompt, this combination of a model and a prompt. So it's the base model, it's the template that you, the actual prompt that you use, it's all the parameters, it's all the evaluation that you did. So with this, you know for sure what you have deployed in production, and it pretty much takes all the uncertainty away that comes with working on larger systems. Well, so far so good, but we are still just living in this UI, in this watsonx ecosystem. How can I use this now? So it's pretty simple. You jump back here into the assets, and now we can promote it to space. Sounds pretty fancy. Those spaces are an IBM Watson concept of bundling your whole AI model into a consumable package that you usually consume via API. And this is a really exciting concept because it closes the gap between traditional machine learning and Gen AI. Because at the end of the day, for the application developer or the site reliability engineer, it's just going to be an API. So the AI people can make sure that the AI stuff works. The site reliability engineers can make sure that the site is reliable. But this is a very important concept here. So how do you do this? Pretty simple. I've already prepared some stuff. Nothing fancy happening here. Just choose the space that you created, and ta-da! We've got it promoted to a deployment space. In this deployment space, we can now create a new deployment. I'm again not going into a lot of detail here. It's kind of self-explanatory, and if you have trouble, read the documentation or contact me. I'm always happy to help. Just gonna add a name here. Insurance. So, and within a few seconds, we've got our deployment here. So if we click on that, we can find some endpoints, and this is how we can now consume this model. So let me show you what this looks like in Python. Here's some boilerplate. Gotta get your IAM key, not so important. And here we've got the sample that we want to analyze. This is just the story that we want to summarize. And the only thing we need to do now is send this text in a small structure here to this API. And the result we get is this summary. So why is this beautiful? This is beautiful because it ties together all the critical parts of our AI application under this API. So we've got all our monitoring, we've got our AI fact sheet, we've got the prompt itself. It's all in this API, and we know very exactly which one we're using right now. If your prompt engineers came up with a better prompt, you simply change this URL. That's all you need to do. You probably don't even have to redeploy the application for that. And by doing that, you have everything together. You know exactly what you're doing. This is pretty much the perfect decoupling. It doesn't get much better than that. So this is what I wanted to show you, but this only scratches the surface. This was pretty much AI governance from a developer perspective, and there's so much more to show you. I haven't even talked about detecting drift, like monitoring your models in production, like while they are deployed. The other huge topic is planning your risk and planning the regulations that you might have to apply to. The EU AI Act is almost done, and there's a lot that we will be facing in the future. All those things can be handled with watsonx governance. So stay tuned. There are exciting times ahead of us, and I hope to see you again in one of the many videos that will be coming on this channel. Bye!